All right, y'all. Today we are going to be reading Ecclesiastes chapter 5 for a Bible study. So we're going to be studying the word. That means dissecting it. That means looking up words we don't know. That means rereading it over and over again, meditating on the word, okay? So we begin. Verse 1. Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of God, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. So I don't know about y'all Bibles, but mine has the margins right here, and it lets me know a translation. So, like, as you can see, it says, A, thy foot when thou goest to the house of God. And then 1a says, walk prudently, guard thy feet. So I could easily translate this to, guard thy feet when thou goest to the house of God. And then you say B, it says, be more ready to hear. But you can also translate it to 1b, draw near to hear rather than to give the sacrifice of fools. Now we know what a fool is. Well, we are believers, so we're required to read our word. It's part of our lifestyle. So we know that it tells us what a fool is in Proverbs. So if you don't know what a fool is, go check out Proverbs. So we'll get into it. For they consider not that they do evil. They do evil. So now we know fools do evil. So we should probably stay away from fools. We don't want to be foolish. They do evil. So let's go to the second verse. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before God. For God is in heaven, and thou upon earth. Therefore let thy words be few. Be not rash with thy mouth. Dang, so be not rash with thy mouth. What does that mean? Rash, an eruption on the body. So it's like my personal experience. I can think of when I'm arguing with my baby father and I say something rash out the mouth, and I'm just fast and I'm uttering just one after another, and it's an eruption on the body. First it was calm, and then it was just an eruption. It was just wrath with thy mouth, my mouth. And let not thine heart, which is my intentions, which is my mindset, which is my focus, be hasty, quick to utter, to speak anything before God. So everything that I speak is accounted for God is in heaven, and thou upon earth. Therefore let thy words be few. So I did write in my notes, concluded to talk less. For a dream cometh through the multitude of business. And then again, guys, we have 3a. So I'm just going to go down in my word. That'll just help me a little bit perceive it. It says effort or activity. So we can translate this as, for a dream cometh through the multitude of effort or activity, and a fool's voice is known by multitude of words. Again, referencing the fool. It talks about a fool in Proverbs. They do evil, and then it helps us, it gives us guidance on how to continue living a life and identifying as we go out. So, fool's voice is known by a multitude of words. When thou vowest a vow unto God, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed. So, vow. When thou vowest a vow unto God, we're still talking about the speech. We started off with the mouth. First, we were talking about fools. They do evil. He tells us not to be rash with thy mouth, and let our heart not be hasty to utter anything before God. So he's telling us, and we have to practice this. God is in heaven and now upon earth, therefore let thy words be few. We need to talk less. Because the fool, a dream cometh through the multitude of activity, and a fool's voice is known by a multitude of words. When thou vowest a vow unto God, delay not to pay it. So not only are we supposed to be talking less because our words are accounted for, and we are also counted as fools when we speak so many words, but when we are talking to God and we tell him something and we give him a promise, he also tells us not to delay. Don't delay. Once you vow it, pay it off. Pay it off. He says, delay not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. Guys, this is also in Proverbs. It talks about the froward mouth, who says, yes, Lord, or the froward feet, who don't have feet to walk. We have to say things and do them too. So, better is it that thou shouldest not vow than that thou shouldest vow and not pay. Suffer not thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin, neither say thou before the angel, that it was an error. Now I'm mixing up the translations in the scripture, but I'll repeat. Suffer not thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin, neither say thou before the angel that it was an error. Wherefore should God be angry at thy voice and destroy the work of thine hands? So I'll now use the translation. Do not let thy mouth cause thy flesh to sin, neither say thou before the messenger that it was an excuse, that it was excuse. Wherefore should God be angry? That it was error. Wherefore God be angry at thy excuse and destroy the work of thine hands. So don't let your mouth say something that you're not going to do. You sinning. Vow, whether it's curse somebody, because we supposed to be talking less, let our words be few. We're not supposed to be rash in thy mouth. We know that a fool's voice is known by a multitude of words. So he's teaching us about the tongue, about the mouth. And then he says that he'll be angry with our voice, with our excuses. When we don't pay, he'll be upset with our voice, with our excuses. When we say something, he's going to keep an account for what we say. So let's go to number 7. For in the multitude of dreams and many words, there are also diverse vanities, but fear thou God. So we can translate it to say, for in the multitude of dreams and many words, 7, futility abounds. So, but fear thou God. Futility abounds, but fear thou God. When I looked up the word futility in the dictionary, it meant uselessness. So, this book in Ecclesiastes, it does say there's a time for everything. And Solomon, the one who wrote the book, also concluded, everything is vanity except for the work of the Lord. Everything is useless except for the work of the Lord, and all the labor we do under the sun, everything is the same under the sun, and all our labor at the end of the day is useless. All our wisdom that we have at the end of the day is useless. It's beneficial for us now on earth, but once we leave this earth, it's useless. And so it's all futility. It's all vanity, is what he's saying. But fear thou God, but fear thou God, but fear thou God. He ends with, but fear thou God. Let's go to 8. If thou seest the oppression of the poor, and violent perverting of judgment, and justice in a province, marvel not at the matter. For he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they. So let's go back. If thou seest the oppression of the poor, and violent, perverting of judgment, and justice in a province, marvel not at the matter. For he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they. Okay, now let's translate it. If thou seest the oppression of the poor, and violent, perversion of justice and righteousness, marvel not at the matter. For he that is higher than the highest regardeth, high official watches over high official, and higher officials are over them. So it's like, yeah, we have to realize that majority of us have eyes to see carnal things. So if thou seest the oppression of the poor, and violent, and it is perversion of justice and righteousness. So something broke down, whatever. There's a misunderstanding. That's what happens most of the time with people. Misunderstandings happen. So misunderstandings happen, and stuff happens, especially when there's more than one person. It's an audience, it's a people, and it's some misunderstanding. So perverting of judgment and justice in a province, in an area, in a place, right? So people might break out in a fight because there's been a misunderstanding and there's been a perversion of judgment and justice. Somebody is wronged. Somebody is wronged. And they get out and it break down because it's violent. It ends up violent because the oppression of the poor in spirit and violent. And it's been a perversion of judgment and justice in a place. And there's people around there because it's not just them. He says, marvel not at the matter. So don't go get your phones out and be like, whoa, world star. Don't be doing that. Don't be getting your phone out and be like, oh, and don't be going to the next friend, oh, gathering around for evil. That's what I thought of when I read this. So that's what I put. But let's go to the 9th verse. So, moreover, the profit of the earth is for all. The king himself is served by the field. So, the profit. What is a profit? I personally had to look it up because, moreover, the profit of the earth. What's the profit of the earth? I want to know. It's for all? That means I get a piece? You get a piece? We all get a piece. It says the profit of the earth is for all. So, profit, a valuable return, gain. So, what return do I get from the earth? What gain can I get from the earth? How is it for me? The king himself is served by the field. How is he served by it? He that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also vanity, or futility, uselessness. So, he that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver. So, if I love money, I'm so hasty to get money, I guess I'm just not going to get it. I guess I'm not going to be blessed with that because my eyes are so single on that one thing. Nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also futility. So, what you love, what your heart is in. When goods increase, they are increased that eat them. So the more I use something, the more I'll manage it and increase it, I guess. But when goods increase, they are increased that eat them. And what good is there to owners thereof, saying the beholding of them with their eyes? Yeah, there's people that have things and don't put them to use. It's just picking up dust. And that's just as equivalent as burying your talents. If there's dust on anything, you need to manage it. You need to put your hands to it. You need to put your hands to the toil, and you need to work. Because he said when goods increase, they are increased that eat them. So you're using it. It's beneficial for you. But he says, and what good is there to the owners thereof, the people that own things, that don't use them, saving the beholding them of them with their eyes. Behold, just looking at them. Walking past them, behold of them with their eyes. The sleep of a laboring man is sweet, whether he eat little or much, but the abundance of the rich will not suffer him to sleep. So I felt this when he said the sleep of a laboring man is sweet. I was like, okay, cool, because when I've been working, just trying to do busy work, I noticed I would go to sleep like a baby. I would sleep great. I'd feel rejuvenated when I get up. I'd be ready for the next day. But if I was slothful, didn't really do anything much, just doing really bare minimum, it'd be really hard for me to go to sleep. But it says the abundance of the rich, though. That's not even the point. It says he's comparing the sleep of a laboring man, a man that works, love work, is sweet. Their sleep is sweet. Anybody could testify to that? The sleep of a laboring man is sweet. You can go to sleep, whether he eat little or much. You don't even have to eat a lot. But the abundance of the rich will not permit him to sleep. Versus somebody who might seem like they got all the money in the world, everything. But watch them say they didn't have a good sleep. They couldn't sleep. That's crazy. I sleep good though. So 13. There is a sore evil which I have seen under the sun, namely riches kept for the owners thereof to their hurt. Wow. So there is a sore evil which I have seen under the sun, namely riches kept for the owners thereof to their hurt. So let's see. Let's translate it and see. So it says there is a severe evil which I have seen under the sun, namely riches kept for the owners thereof to their hurt. But those riches by misfortune, those riches perish by misfortune. Perish by misfortune. Dang. Perish by evil travail. And he begetteth the son, and there is nothing in his hand. So the rich, the sore evil, the severe evil which he's seen under the sun is namely riches kept for the owners thereof to their hurt. But those riches perish by misfortune. So imagine you keeping something and then they perish. You keeping all this stuff and not putting it in use and they perish. And then you have a child and there is nothing in his hand. As he came forth of his mother's womb, naked shall he return to go as he came. And he shall take of his labor, which he may carry away in his hand. There is nothing in his hand. So when we come in this world, we have nothing. We was naked and shall take nothing. We have nothing. We had nothing, and we gonna leave with nothing. Leave with nothing. He may carry away in his hand. And this also is a severe evil, that in all points as he came, so shall he go. And what profit he that hath labored for the wind? All his days also he eateth in darkness, and he hath much sorrow and wrath with his sickness. This is life. This is life, y'all. I really wanted to do this. I was studying this, so I really had to share it. Because acceptance. This is truth, and this is life, and this is acceptance. We know to just practice. Reread this. Continue to reread this. Meditate on it. And I hope this helped you. All right.